Here on the Colour of Country Life, chatting with Andrew Partridge from Michell Wool. How are you, Andrew?
G'day, how you going, Ricky?
Yeah, not too bad. Do you get a bit of a break with the auctions? We've got the last one next week and then a little bit of a break. Do you get a break yourself?
We do. We're a bit fortunate. We're not as good as the educational area of the country, mate, but we have a 3-week break in July. We have a couple of weeks at Christmas, and it does a pretty full weeks, and a lot of the small buying teams, we actually do take our time off, and a lot of holidays are booked this time of the year, and hopefully not flooding those airports too much.
Yeah, or allow yourself plenty of time when you head to the airport. But looking at the markets as the AWEX analysis comes through, it does look like that we've had a pretty big year overall. We've got one more week to go.
Yeah, correct. So same time last year, obviously, we had the bit of COVID last year that interrupted supply, so we had a bit of a reduction there when people were holding off when that market dropped a bit. But year on year, we're looking at $380 million extra of wool being sold, so 6% more wool, 100,000 sort of more bales being offered. So, yeah, up and up we go. So, it's been quite extraordinary. Looking back, we're making history here with the COVID and everything else. The wool market's performed exceptionally well in relative terms.
Now, looking at last week into this week, we had a lot of green, a lot of positive upward movement on prices for our producers. How did we go this week across the microns?
Again, pretty extraordinary after the rises of the week before. The mediums, the 2021s, they had big rises this week. Over in Sydney, the 20-micron indicator actually went up 60 cents to 15.70, and the 20-micron indicator up 40 in Victoria, just punching nearly 1,500 clean, which is a pretty big level. The EMI is sitting at 1,474. Again, got to go back to March 2020 before that that EMI was realised again. So again, we're sort of pushing records again, but looking back now, looking forward, you're looking at those graphs there, Ricky. This is pretty testing time for the market this time last year, and we did suffer a big drop. So maybe COVID had a bit to do with it last year, but there's a few people drawing lines on the graphs. And really interesting couple of weeks to come up.
Well, as you say, I'm noticing here, EMI has been going up for 3 weeks, and there was a comment here about how we're at our highest level since March 2020. But are you saying when the break in the auctions comes, it's afterwards we've got to be nervous about how it might kick off?
Yes, that's right. So precursor is the next 2-3 weeks. We're going to be pushing sort of 40 to 50,000 bales on the offer. That can be a bit of a souring to the market. And then, of course, 3-week break, we've got all that wool that gets shorn and pulled up back in the system. And those fresh sales in August, they'll be large again. So always look to those sort of offerings, and demand and supply, of course, will rule the day. So you're going to have to basically see an increase in demand to meet that increase in supply to keep these levels where they are.
Yeah, we've seen these offerings sort of tumbling, I guess, in terms of relative terms of how much has been offered. Do we get a bit of a sort of, oh gosh, it's the last one for the year, I better put it up this week?
There's a bit of that, a bit of rush, certainly. And all those rich farmers out there parking a bit of income into the next financial year and these sort of things. But no, certainly it's one of those times of the year where you do get a bit of a flush. So we'll just have to see how we go forward with that, Ricky. But look, it's all good. I think the currency being down, obviously in US terms, that's a positive. The EMI in US price was 1,100 cents. It's only sitting at 1,020 this year. Of course, the majority of us, our wool is actually sold in US dollars. So in US dollar terms, wool's actually quite good value.
Yeah, and you mentioned earlier just about that figure, $377 million, the increase in the market this year compared to last financial year. The good news is really that's all sort of landing in, I guess, not going offshore in terms of those profits. It's all pretty much Australian companies that are getting the benefits from that.
That's exactly right. Yeah, we don't have decades ago we had corporate activity. Now we've got the Aussie-owned like ourselves and the Tech Wools and the Fox and Lilies. They're all Aussie-owned companies. So all those benefits are all staying in country. Of course, you got the bigger top makers which we need in TNU and these other Modianos and these sort of guys that obviously overly support our Aussie guys. But yeah, that's the Aussie families are ruling the day. They're sitting up nice on top of the buyers list and going no foreseeable change to that in the future.
All right, that's a healthy thing indeed, and we've got a big one coming up, the final auction for the year, and then we'll take things a little different direction with our wool reports during that break. Looking forward to that, Andrew. We'll catch you next week.
Beauty, guys.